everybody, and welcome back to the Dragon Scale In. Today we're taking a look at day 1 of Season 2 for the Go Battle League. I much prefer the Great League over the Ultra League and the Master League as far as competition goes. I find myself more comfortable and far more prepared for the Great League than I am for the other leagues, as I have focused a lot of my attention into the Sylph Cups and have not done so much in the Ultra League or the Master League, so I find myself a little less than prepared to compete in those particular kinds of tournaments. As far as the PvPing goes, I think that the Great League is really the place that I like to play, and will probably not be continuing playing into the Ultra or Master League, as I know a lot of other trainers sort of do the same thing. But that's neither here nor there. We've got lots and lots of time between now and then to get great battle leagues in and get our ranks up. So today we're taking a look at day 1. These are all of my battles from day 1. I recorded them just after midnight, I think it was like 2 a.m. last night. It was really late. But the team that I'm using to start this season is a little different than I used in the preseason and in Season 1. I'm using a Probopass lead with Rock Throw, Rock Slide, and Thunderbolt. I'm using a Hypno with Confusion, Shadow Ball, and Ice Punch, and I'm using a Machamp with Counter, Cross Chop, and Rock Slide. Now later this season I will be changing some of these things. I will be testing out a new Alakazam in place of the Hypno, and I will be testing out a Toxicroak in place of the Machamp. I don't think I'm going to switch out the Probopass. I really like the coverage that he gets, and I used him through preseason and Season 1. Pretty much consistently on all the times that I played. Granted, there were some teams that I was trying out or new things I was just trying, but Probopass was definitely in the group that I used for the first 2 seasons. And now that we are in actual Season 2, I find that he fits a role really well, especially against the Flyers. Then there are lots of them. Skarmories and Alterias are all over the place, and he can handle them both. Generally without even using shields, except for the Skarmory's Flash Cannon gives him a little bit of trouble without any shields, but for the most part Altaria just gets eaten and Skarmory is a nice lunch. So without further ado guys, let's go ahead and get into day 1 battles here on Go Battle League. Here we go. As you can see here, I started with 312 wins so far in my career, and we open into a Skarmory lead. They switch out for a Whiscash, which I know is a bad place for me. I switch into the Hypno and forego the shield on the Mud Bomb. I know that I can take a few of those, and I want to save as many shields as possible. I go for the Ice Punch just to bait shields, which it does. And then we're back into Confusions. The Confusion on this guy does a lot of damage, just a lot of damage. And then we've got both his shields down. I don't have to go for a shield on the Mud Bomb still, so we're just riding no shields. And then I go, and I want to get that energy off. I don't want to waste that, so I definitely use that shield. And then I go for the Ice Punch, which takes the Whiscash out. And we get the Skarmory back in, which is bad for my Hypno. We go back into Probopass, and he switches for a Raichu, which is still not a great play. But I guess it's better than the Skarmory. The Raichu gets eaten by the Rock Throws and the Rock Blast. And while I could save the shields there, I could take those lightning attacks. I would much rather be healthy coming into the Skarmory just in case he gets a Flash Cannon off on me. As we see here, Sky Attack does not do very much damage. So now it's the Skarmory versus my Machamp, and that goes down really fast. Except that, yeah, flying types do mad damage to Machamp. Just mad damage. In our next battle here, we have a Latias versus my Probopass. Probopass is not really worried about Dragon type moves. They can tank those pretty well. So I know that I can get off without a shield early in the fight, and it just doesn't have enough oomph to kick me. And then the Hitmonlee comes in, and I definitely have to get out of the way, bring the Hypno in. Confusions do a lot of damage, but the Absol comes in and sneaks me. Now that I'm stuck here, I think the only thing I can do is just try to go for damage, or at least take shields, and I do that. I want to stay in the fight as long as possible, and I was worried about that Mega Horn. so I shielded for that. The thing does a lot of damage, just a lot of damage. So then, as you can see here, those shadow balls do a good chunk, and if I were to consistently hit those, they would definitely be a good matchup there. The Hitmonlee comes back out, forced into the field against my Hypno, and that is going to be a bad day for the Hitmonlee. Definitely not the place that the trainer wants to be in, with the Hitmonlee as his backup against a Hypno on the field. And then this guy, the Toxicroak. I run into all kinds of problems with Toxicroak before I added the Hypno to my team. As you can see there, he just eats Toxicroak for breakfast. And then the Flareon comes in as a backup, and those confusions are just drilling home the damage. Just drilling the damage. And as you can see, we take onto a Kadabra, and this is really bad. The Psychic type is really doing a number on me, but the Shadow Ball eats him. I don't think he realized that a Shadow Ball was coming. He died with a shield left, which is just ridiculous. There we see Probopass started the next fight, and against Azumarill, we switch out to the Machamp, and the Azumarill stays. He knows that if he can get off a couple of Hydro Pumps or not get my shields, or maybe bait that way, that it'll be a good setup for him to move into the next Pokemon. And since he has the switch advantage, he is not too hard pressed to take that away and move into the next Pokemon. He has done quite a bit of damage and removed both of my shields, which is painful early game, especially since he has 2 shields to go. And then Jirachi in against the Hypno. I wasn't sure if the Hypno would do a really good job against him or not. I didn't think that he would be great with Confusion, but I knew that Shadow Ball would be really good against the Fairy typing. And there he's forced to shield. What I wasn't counting on is that Confusion literally did like no damage whatsoever. I was happy to see that he could tank a couple of Doom Desires. That was nice. Those always worry me. But those Shadow Balls just, man, they pump out damage, son, damage. And then we see Probopass coming into the Ferrothorn, which is not good for the Ferrothorn. He does have a couple of options against us, but not as many as he would like, I am sure. Also, though, we do see that Rock Blast is not as effective as we'd like, not as effective against some things, but it takes these Power Whips pretty good. He can tank a couple of those before needing a shield, and eventually the Rock Slides will do enough damage to take the Ferrothorn out or drop all of his shields, which is also something we have to consider when fighting these matches. Now you see there, the Ferrothorn did beat me. I had no shields left to stop all the Power Whips, and then we move on to the next match. Probopass and Skarmory switches for a Venusaur. I'm not so concerned with the Venusaur. I know that I need to watch those Sludge Bombs, because those will hurt for sure. But I know that the Hypno's Confusion can do a lot of damage to Venusaur, and that is exactly what I go into Melt. I know also he can tank a Sludge Bomb, maybe 2, depending on how fast they come out. Then the Venusaur switches to an Azumarill, nice shiny there. And Azumarill, not a great look for us, handleable, you know, but not the best of matchups. We know definitely he's going to start eating up shields if we let him, but we let that go through and we send in our Machamp. Those counters do good, consistent, neutral damage. They're pretty good. And the Rock Slides, I know for sure, will do a chunk of damage, but he switches into Skarmory, which was a bad switch with no shields, into a Rock Slide. It was just bad news. But that Sky Attack ends my Machamp, and we go into Probopass as our lone survivor. Of course, this is not going to do very much damage to us, and the switch counter is no good, so he's down to just the Marill, or the Azumarill. And since he has no shields, I go for the Thunderbolt to win that match. A lot of people don't see the Thunderbolt coming from the Probopass. It's a scary surprise for them. They don't really get it. They don't see it coming, and they let it tank them, and it's not a good play. So here you see Granbull against Probopass. Again, Probopass just tanking moves. I like him as an anchor, and I like him as a lead because of how tanky he is and how many things that he resists, like the Granbull. All the fairy damage is not really that effective. The dark damage is not that effective. We do see Granbull and Probopass go out. I switched into Machamp, so we've got the Probopass in the back. He's a little damaged, but he's in there. And then the Dynamic Punch on Swampert just wrecks him. I don't know why he didn't block that. That is definitely shield required. And then we see Graveler taking a Dynamic Punch for the sack win. I don't know why that's how that played out, but that's what it is. So here we have Probopass into Hypno to start with the Azumarill. And if we can land these Shadow Balls, we will be all set. It really comes down to shield play here. If he gets me a couple of good tricks on like Ice Beam, something like that, this match could be really, really bad, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, the Azumarill and the Hypno having a really good back and forth. I finally managed to knock down the Hypno, or the Azumarill, and then Whiscash comes in to finish me, but he's used up some energy, and then he switches out to a Skarmory against my Machamp. And I find my Machamp in this problem more often than I'd like. I don't appreciate the Flyers getting my Machamp as often as they do, but they keep doing it. So I guess I'll have to watch out for that in the future. But then once the Machamp falls, we bring our Probopass back in. As we all know, Probopass versus Skarmory is just doomed. Especially with any kind of shielding structures or energy gain. But then Whiscash comes in when we drop the Skarmory, and that is not good for Probopass. Whiscash is one of the few things that I really worry about running the Probopass, because I do see them often enough to make them worrisome. So then the Mud Bombs do not knock out the Machamp, but they do a ton of damage anyway, and it's very important to get that Dynamic Punch off to win the match. On to the next match, we see Probopass in a Poliwhirl, and Poliwrath, and that is not where I want to be. Those bubbles will do a lot of damage, so I switch into Hypno, and they bail for Granbull, which is probably not the best. Granbull is still taking just a ton of damage, but those charms are also kicking out a lot of damage on my Hypno, so we're really just trading slaps. As you can see, the Hypno is really low, and the Poliwrath, who comes in after the Granbull goes down, has a chance to knock me out. Bring in the Machamp, and then I block for the Hydro Pump and finish him down with counters. Come into the Flareon, and we definitely go through a Stone Edge, or through a Rock Slide. And then they rage quit because they realize that that was the end of the fight. And while I don't always get that, it is what it is. Players don't want to waste their time in a losing match. Here we switch from Probo to Machamp into the Azumarill on the next match. We landed the Rock Slide, as we seem to do quite a bit. It's like people don't realize that we're going to throw a Rock Slide. Then they switched into their Skarmory for some reason to farm me down, probably to gain a whole crap load of energy. But then they just wasted all using it on Sky Attacks, where they could have at least, I don't know, maybe gotten to a Flash Cannon and a half and used it on my Probopass. I'm not sure. I would have assumed that the switch in was to farm energy, but then that was not what they seemed to do. Because then they used all the energy trying to get rid of my Machamp. So then we switch into Hypno and... what is this, a Whiscash? Yeah, Hypno and Whiscash. Whiscash holds up pretty good. Mud Bombs do not do as much damage as maybe they want to. But it does hold up really well. It's really tanky. It definitely deals out consistent amounts of damage, but the Shadow Ball, man. That Shadow Ball is a brutal tool. Even if he wasn't as far down as he was, which, you know, still would have been an easy kill zone, that Shadow Ball does a lot of damage. There you see it take out the Azumarill to end that fight, and then we switch into the next battle, which is Probopass versus Melmetal, and then we switch to Machamp to get the bonus damage from the counters on the Melmetal. And then they switched into Superior. Which a little shocking why they would bring Superior. The grass types don't have a particularly good day against the Machamps, but that would have hurt a lot. If they would have landed that, I guess I can see why they would have tried to play, but it did not fall into the trap, and they did not get in. But that one did take me out, and Hypno with 1 confusion finishes superior. And this is where my day goes to garbage. So this Rhydon with that superpower, I was expecting a Rock Wrecker, I was expecting anything but superpower. That superpower waylaid my Probopass, knocked me out in 1 shot, and left a Hypno with no shields against 2 Pokemon, and one of them was this beast of a Rhyperior, just swinging. And there you see the Rock Wrecker. I was completely caught off guard, and they got me. Good. So Probopass comes into defense Deoxys, and switch out for Machamp, switch out for a Ganium. I'm not entirely sure why they switched out to Ganium. In this particular instance, the Ganium did not do our favors. It did do down Machamp a bit, but there was no hope at all. Defense Deoxys comes back in. That. You see that? Right at the end, you get your charge move all set up to go, and they wail you one last time before the button takes them. Insane. So then Hypno comes into the Deoxys, gets a Shadow Ball on him, and knocks him out. But this Bastiodon is going to be a problem. Yeah, the Shadow Balls work okay on it, but it's going to fire off faster than I can take care of. And I don't know exactly what I've got to just nuke it. I don't really have a nuke for Bastiodon. I don't see him as often as I thought I would. So I hadn't planned as heavily on them. But so far I've seen the Bastiodon and the Nasty Rhyperior come out. So they consider my options for Stone. But Probopass is generally not dead. Yes, it's off. Shield's there. But there's still a Pokemon in the back, so past the Bastiodon, there's no guarantee, especially taking it like that. I'm going to be able to pull it off, and definitely much happier about the win there. Except it wasn't. They actually knocked each other out. That was a double knockout. Never seen that happen before, and there it was. We knocked each other out at the same time. Both of us got charged for the loss, and that was pretty ridiculous. The Alola, this right here, I was not expecting that. The Alola caught me off guard and cost me this match for sure. There was no coming back off of that on the champ. I thought that would do definitely overshooting, but I didn't expect it to get me like that, and it did. Completely off. So don't ever be mad at yourself for getting caught off guard. Just try again. Next time you see it, you'll know better. So yeah, that might have cost me a battle, but there's not a lot you can do about that. It just was what it was. I got caught with the pants down, and they got me real good. Left me wide open for the end of this battle, and it was pretty much a struggle from behind after the I wanted it to be a different thing than that, but it just wasn't happening. It was. We'll see what happens. Take that loss, go to the next match, go about our day. So we got Probopass into Umbreon. Now I will run this match. This is not a horrible match, and it's not one I necessarily lose. I will need to shield one versus Umbreon if I go straight Rock Slide. I was hoping that Thunder went off because it does a little bit touch of damage more than the Rock Slide does on the Umbreon, but it is what it is. He caught the shield. Excuse me. He caught the shield, and it's sent us about our way onto our next run here. So then, this matchup, like I said, is not a losing match to me. It does cost me a shield or two, depending on how many times they shield. There were 1-for-1 shield, and Umbreon is pretty much handled. They lost a sliver on the next Pokemon and just finishing it. And this Nidoking, this thing is big and scary. We're looking at him, but he gets melted by confusion. It's just absolutely melted. So we take out that Nidoking and then move into a Blastoise, which also takes heavy damages last season and the preseason, I saw the Umbreons pretty often, and I was running my Shift Tree lead. Shift Tree will eat an Umbreon every time, and people will just stay in and not take the Shift Tree seriously because of how fast it is. They thought that it just wouldn't do enough damage, but I could get 4 Leaf Blades off before they could finish me, and it might have cost me both shields to do it by the end, but I got both of their shields and a Pokemon, so that was okay with me. But here you see the Probopass finishing up that Umbreon finally and going into the stone, the Rock Slide against the Meganium, but the Meganium blocks and ends the weakened Probopass. We come into Hypno against the Meganium, and Confusion, that's psychic damage, man. Confusions are just doing a number. It is what it is, and the Meganium gets eaten. I switch into Machamp for the Durant, and he goes to town with those big gray fists. Just pummels the piss out of that ant. And then the Umbreon switches in for the last go. Then we see next match we have Snorlax switching out into Lapras, and then I switch to Machamp in for the Probopass. That hurt a lot. I wasn't expecting that surf to hurt quite as much. And this team is it's a team that I'm not as familiar with as I was the other team. I used the Shiftry Probopass Azumarill team for the first 2 full seasons, for the most part, all the time. And I got really good at using them and knowing when to switch with them and really just knowing the nuances of them inside and out. And this team is new. I have not used it as much. While the Probopass is familiar, the Hypno and the Machamp are not quite as new, or not quite as familiar to me, so there will be occasions where I do dumb things. Excuse me, I'm learning, as we all are. So see here in the beginning of this match, we've got a Snorlax versus the Probopass. Probopass can win this match. He doesn't have to worry about the body slam so much, and we take that victory. Then we come into Probopass versus Lunatone on the next battle. I'm not really sure what Lunatone has, so I shield. I see the Rock Slide. I'm like, oh, okay, I could have taken that. I go into a Rock Slide of my own before he switches, and Stunfisk does not want to see that mess. Stunfisk would mess a Probopass up. So I switch into the Fighting Machamp to take out the Electric and Ground-type fish there. And while that charge move does do quite a bit of damage to me, I can tank it and come back for more, but I know this one I definitely need to shield. So if I want to win this match, I've got a shield and a do, and I took out the Stunfisk, and I've still got all 3 of my Pokemon, as this Rock Slide goes into the shield of Lunatone, who then charges me, or just fast moves me down. He just farmed me straight out. I was a little discordant about that. I wasn't really sure what moves he had. I still don't really know entirely. But I know that this Hypno is doing quite a bit of work and getting things put together, and this Skarmory does not want to see this Ice Punch. Even though it does not do a ton of damage, enough of those will happen fast enough that he definitely does not want to see those. So then Probopass comes in, and we know how this will work out if I can get these shields off, or get these Rock Blasts off. If I get these Rock Slides, he's going to KO me. And I realize that he's literally there he is. I've never had a Probopass whooped up on by a Skarmory, and there it is. Shields down, Skarmory won against my Probopass, and I was dumbfounded. I was completely dumbfounded. I thought I was going to get it, and he CMPs me right at the end there for the win. Then Skarmory comes in the middle of this match now. We switched out a lot. We have landed on Skarmory versus Machamp. Machamp gets the Cross Chop far before the next Sky Attack and ends up winning the matchup. And I think that guy had the same reaction that I did in the last match. What? You beat me with what now? Because really that Skarmory should have won against my Machamp. It just didn't have the shields to protect itself, and the Machamp was doing too much damage. But now we see here we've got Hypno versus Lapras. Hypno not really scared of Lapras, but knows how much damage that those Surfs and the Avalanche. The Avalanche does quite a bit of damage, but we managed to shield properly there and use our Shadow Ball to knock the Lapras out. They change into Meganium, who hits us with a Frenzy Plant, and then we trade back into Probopass, who no shields against a Frenzy Plant Meganium may not be great. See, there we go, we fall down. This one we see Azumarill right across from our Probopass, so we switch out to the Hypno. They in turn switch to their Umbreon, and then we go Shadow Ball crazy. We're going to use a shield here, but our whole goal is just to get rid of the shield and get rid of that Umbreon, because we do not have anything really in the back that will help us with that some. Not tremendously, so I'm willing to risk it for my Hypno to keep him on the board as long as I have to. And it looks like that is coming up pretty soon. So then Hypno goes down, and I bring in my Muscle-O Meats. Machamp has a lot of damage potential and knows really well how to knock Pokemon into the dirt. And as you see here, he is doing just that. It does cost us a shield to stay ahead of the curve and to win the fight, but it's worth it. The only problem is here now is that he has 2 shields to my 1, and I don't really like that very much. But even though we've come out of this shield deficit, we feel like we can force shields right here. So we go for the Rock Slide and do, in fact, get that 1 shield. But that leaves us with Probopass versus Azumarill in the back, and the Azumarill has just got done farming energy. That Hydro Pump does tons of damage, y'all. Just a ton. The thing is scary and ridiculous. And there we see we fall at that one as well. So then we come into a defense form Deoxys right off rip. We switch into Hypno to block against that. And then we go for the Shadow Balls. That's right. Shadow Ball all day. We pull that shield and we just press forward. We know if we get hit by something, not a Rock Slide, by a Deoxys, that we could really just fall apart. So we try to shield that as best as possible, but the Deoxys just can't hang, and we go ahead and toast them on fast moves, just farm down and then get the Ice Punch off right as Azumarill comes in to take us out of the fight. But we did get a little bit of chip damage anyway, and then Machamp comes in to take the fight right to the Azumarill. So, Play Rough would do a ton of damage to us. It's one of the things I have to watch for with Azumarill on the board against my Machamp. I see it all the time, and the other way around, so I want to make sure that I don't fall victim to that. And then we've got this Registeel, who previously with my last team was a real treat to deal with. Like, I didn't really know how to get rid of him, but the Machamp does a number on him in this team, and I'm glad that I've got those fighters locked down. As long as I can guarantee that I get the Machamp on them, then I'll have all the things that are weak to fighters at a disadvantage, which of course is the goal for all of us to figure out how to do that. We see here, like, those cross chops come out really fast, and while we do get a lot of them off, sometimes it's not enough. Here we see the next match. We got Probopass into Skarmory. It is an amazing time when I see a Skarmory or an Altaria on the starting matchup, and I have a Probopass to lead my team. Let me tell you how joyous it makes me. Fabulously. Here I saw the Cloyster, and I thought that I might be able to take this, but I was worried about Hydro Pump. And then when he started tanking my stats, I sort of panicked a little bit. I didn't really know what to do with it, but I stuck the fight. I didn't need to shield there. I could have switched I could have let him go and switched out, but I didn't. So we finished that Cloyster, and then they switched into Skarmory, and we brought in a Machamp, which is not great for us, honestly. Those Sky Attacks and fast moves really do a number on us. They melt our stuff really fast. Here you see we're going for a Rock Slide on Umbreon as he's just come in, and then the counter damage is going to farm him down. Or not. That was my hope. See, I wanted to farm him down, and then nothing. But Probopass comes in to get the farm off and take the win. Next match here, we see Probopass starts off against a Gloom, and while Razor Leafs do not do us as much damage as they do some other people, they are not happy times. They're not. planting roses and things like that. Often people tell you that you need to have those kinds of soils and those kinds of things, but you don't really need that. So we don't want to do that. And while Probopass can handle not taking poison damage, it's not great for him. He doesn't like it. So we do end up finishing down that Gloom, and now we're on to Beedrill versus Machamp. And that Rock Slide just annihilates that Beedrill. That was very lucky of us. Very, very nice. I like that play. And then right back to back, the Entei comes in behind it and takes another Rock Slide to finish off his Pokemon and end that battle. So here we have, again, Probopass versus Umbreon to start the fight. I'm for real seeing a lot of Umbreons. There are just a ton of them out there, and they really can't handle my Probopass lead. But Whiscash sure can. And when Whiscash comes in, I was in the middle of hitting my button, took my charge, and I bailed into Machamp because I don't want anything to do with that Mud Boy on my Probopass. Was Machamp the right answer? I don't know. Did I win? Maybe so. But still, I don't like feeding a Pokemon another Pokemon. It gives them too much time to get energy and do that. Yeah, just Probopass being the tank that it is and holding up, but those confusions just doing a ton of damage. I know that my Hypno actually surprised me with the amount of damage that he could output and the number of times that he really came through for me. That worked out really well in my favor, and I'm sure that it did in their favor as well. And there we see the Hypno come in and finish off the other Hypno, and then put some work in on this Umbreon. And we get this Ice Punch off, just chipping down on the Umbreon. I know that I can't necessarily take it out, as you can see there. And then this happy fun time right here with an Altaria lead on the Probopass is just fabulous. And then they switch into a Azumarill. I go for the Thunderbolt, but they know it's coming and block for it, which sets me to bring in my Machamp and try to end this Azumarill's happy little day. We get this Rock Slide in, and it does do quite a bit of damage. I'm really always surprised how much damage Rock Slide does do, especially in like neutral scenarios. How heavy it just hits in general. I'm often surprised by that. And I've been so familiar with the Probopass for so long that those Rock Slides have become a second nature to me. So I know what I can and can't hit with it. But it just surprises me still how much damage they take, given, what it is. And then Altaria comes in on my Hypno and just does a number on him. That Sky Attack was brutal. Man, that was mean. And then Azumarill wears our Hypno out and finishes off our Machamp. And then we come again into a Probopass on Altaria match. Man, do I love these so much. You have no idea how much I love these. Every time I get a chance to start the match that way, I really like to. And then we've got a little bit of switching going around. The Altaria comes back in on the Hypno. And then we get this Ice Punch, blocks. That Confusion's still just doing a lot of damage, but I know that a Sky Attack will take me out, and I really want to finish off with the energy that I have. So I send another Ice Punch again, but they've now gone through 2 shields to take out my Hypno. So we'll see how many shields they use up in this case. I don't know that they will, but we'll try it out. Alright, and we're down to our Machamp in our Hypno. Provost Pass started into Azumarill. We are having a few rough goes with the like the Toxicroak Azumarill core, and Azumarills in general seem to be a little bit rough for us. We've got the answers for them, but it takes a shield for each of our answers. Like, we can't just keep tanking shots from Azumarill. It's got too many weapons and it's too offensive. So they're kind of a problem for us. Also, poison is a little bit of a problem. Not horrible, but not like the Shiftry Azumarill Probopass team. But we do definitely have to watch out for poison users and make sure that those sludge bombs don't cave us in, because they hit really hard, and I'm not really spec to take those for any amount of time. But then we switch out to the Machamp on the Toxicroak coming under the table. And I really, the Toxicroak, man, those things are bad news. It's one of the reasons that I want to use one. And as soon as I get mine, I have one right now with 3 moves on it, but the IVs are really bad. So I have another one that I'm prepping and getting ready to bring in. You see there we lost the match against the Toxicroak really hard. And then we are going to power up this Jumpluff. This is what I did with my Stardust that I earned from the Day 1 Go Battle League. I want to get my Jumpluff ready for my what is it? Forest Cup. Yeah, Forest Cup. Man. I want to get one ready for the Forest Cup, and while I don't have a great one, this one's really good, and I want to use it. So I'm powering it up, and then I can add it to my team and replace probably my Shiftry with it. I think this will do better in the meta than Shiftry. We'll see what happens. And yeah, and then here is my first Stunfisk. I had not caught one. I had not seen one during the last event where they were out, and this is my dex entry, guys. So I finally got my Stunfisk, and it is a good one too. I'll take it. It's not perfect, but I'll take it anyway. And guys, that is it for our Day 1 Go Battles. I hope that you have enjoyed the show here today. Take a look at the Pokemon that I have over there. Yeah, over there. That we brought today: a Rock Throw, Rock Slide, Thunderbolt, Probopass, a Confusion, Shadow Ball, Ice Punch, Hypno, and a counter Cross Chop, Rock Slide. It has been a pleasure sharing these battles with you guys. I did finish up at 53% and change for the day. It's better than half. It's better than it's like 2 points better than my total average right now. So I'm happy with it. I can't be mad. And I'm happy that you guys were here to share the whole thing with me. I hope that you guys come back tomorrow and catch Day 2 of the Go Battle League Great League right here, the Dragon Scale Inn. You guys have a great night, and I love your face.